Hello students, this is Mr. Damiani, and today we're going to be looking at video lesson 8.1, which is located on page 421 of your chapter 8 Go Math workbook. The topic for today's lesson is solutions of equations. All right, the central question is, how do you determine whether a number is a solution of an equation? So after we're done this video lesson, you want to go ahead and make sure we can summarize an answer to that question. The steps that we're going to use for today are going to focus on something that's very similar to what we did back when we evaluated algebraic expressions. So we are going to take a value for a variable. We are going to substitute that substitute that value in for the variable, and then we are going to solve one side of that equation and make sure at the end that you have the number equaling the number. All right, we want to balance that equation out. If we get that equation to balance out, then we have a solution to that equation. All right, so what is an equation? Key term also should be located within that summary. An equation is a statement that two mathematical expressions are equal. So two math expressions are equal. These are examples of some equations. 8 plus 12 equals 20, 14 equals a minus 3, and 2d equals 14. You can see that this is really just a combination of an algebraic expression like we worked with in chapter 7, but now we're going to get what that algebraic expression equals. That's what makes it an equation. A solution of an equation, next key term here, is a value of a variable that makes an equation true, which basically says that the equation is equal on both sides of the equal sign. So if we had the equation here of x plus 3 equals 5, we know that x must equal 2. X equals 2 is a solution to the equation because 2 plus 3 does equal 5. So you really end up with 5 equals 5 on both sides of that equal sign if you substitute it in with a 2. All right, so let's get to the unlock the problem here. In 2009-2010 season, the women's basketball team of Duke University lost 5 of their 29 games. The equation W plus 5 equals 29 can be used to find the team's number of wins, W. Determine whether W equals 14 or W equals 24 is a solution of the equation, and tell what the solution means. All right, so we are using substitution. Use substitution to determine the solution. Check whether W equals 14 is a solution. So we're always going to start by writing our equation. Then we're going to substitute in to that equation. 14 plus 5 should equal 29 if it's true. 14 plus 5 is actually 19. And we'd say not equal to 29, put that slash through the equal sign. And the equation is not true when W equals 14, so W is not a solution. Let's check out our step 2, where now we're going to look at a value of 24. Check whether W equals 24 is a solution. So again, we start by writing our equation. We're now going to substitute in 24 for W and replace. So we have W plus 5 equals 29. We're going to replace, so now we get 24 plus 5 equals 29. And 24 plus 25, plus 5 does equal 29 there. So we know that 29 equals 29. That's what I mentioned up there with our last and final step. We want to make sure that it's equal. And if it is, then it is a solution. The equation is true when W equals 24. So W equals 24 is a solution. So the solution of the equation W plus 5 equals 29 is W equals 24, which means that the team won 24 games. So if you add the games they win with the games they lost, then you get the total amount of games played, which was 29. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page and look at some other types of equations that we might look at. So we are now on page 422, top of page 422. and let's settle in and get to work. So determine whether the given value of the variable is a solution of the equation. So now you're going to notice that you're going to get different types of equations. We've been working a lot with whole numbers, but you're going to get fractions, decimals, whole numbers, all sorts of different types of numbers to work with in these equations. But do not let that throw you off. We're going to follow the same exact process every time. Write the equation, substitute, solve, make sure we balance out. All right, let's look at equation A. I have x minus 7/10 equals 4.3, or 4 3/10. We want to know if x equals 3.6 is a solution or not. So let's write the equation, step 1. Let's substitute the given value for the variable. We are going to replace x with 3.6. Now we want to do an operation here and see if it does equal 4.3. So we're going to solve this side right here and see if it equals 4.3. So let's do 3.6 on the side plus 0.7. Oh, sorry, that's subtraction. Clean that up. Bring it down here. Okay, so 6 from 7, or 7 from 6. No, got to drop that to a 2. Bring the 1 over. 16 minus 7 gives me a 9. 2 minus 0 gives me a 2, and I have a 2.9, which does not equal 4.3. So we would say the equation is not true when x equals 3.6. So x equals 3.6 is not a solution. All right, let's go down to part B. Just notice we're substituting into the algebraic side, trying to get that equation to balance out. If it does, then it's a solution. If it does not, then it is not a solution. That is what we are focused on. All right, so we have an equation here that has a fraction coefficient, and yes, this is possible. So we have 1/3 a equals 1/4. We want to know if this equation is true if we have a solution of a equals 3/4. So we're going to start by writing our equation. Boom. 1/3 a equals 1/4. We're going to substitute in. Now remember, this is 1/3 times a. We are going to use a equals 3/4. So I'm going to replace a with 3/4. So we really end up here with 1/3 times 3/4. So we have to work that out. We've got to remember our fraction process. This is a great review for us. I do have an option of just multiplying across. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 4 is 12. And then reducing that to a 1/4. Or I can take that 1/3 times 3/4 and divide out a 3 here, make it a 1. Divide out a 3 here, make it a 1, which gives me 1/4. Remember, we reduced fractions 2 different ways. We reduced within the problem, and we reduced after. All right, so either way, I end up with a solution of 1/4 or an answer of 1/4 on the left, which means 1/4 does equal 1/4. So the equation is true when a equals 3/4. So a equals 3/4 is a solution. All right, that is the process, folks. That's what we're focusing on, just substituting in, coming up with an answer. What I'm going to have you do here, we're going to get down this a second example here, and I'm going to have you kind of fill this one in on your own. I'll read the problem, but then I'm going to have you pause it, fill it in on your own, make sure it matches mine. So please follow along here. It says, the 6th grade class president serves a term of 8 months. Janice has already served 5 months of her term as class president. The equation m plus 5 equals 8 can be used to determine the number of months m Janice has left. Use mental math to find the solution of the equation. All right, so I want you to go ahead and try to fill in the answers to the questions down below here. So pause it up, fill it in, and then match it with mine. All right, go ahead and take a peek at what I have. We filled in 3 plus 5 is equal to 8 as our mental math. That's what we're thinking about. We had our equation, we substituted in. 3 plus 5 equals 8, 8 equals 8. So we definitely balanced out. All right, let's go ahead and turn the page. I'm going to give you a couple problems that I want to see you work through in your summary. Use these as examples to explain to us the process. Make sure you're following your steps. All right. Like I said in the beginning, we're going to work with a substitution and solve process. It's always going to be good to rewrite your equation. Then we're going to focus on sub and solve. And you want to make sure at the end that you have the same number equal to the same number. If it balances out, then you have a solution. All right, please circle. Let's go with 2 questions here. We're going to go with number 2 and number 3. I want you to take those, work those out as your example 1 and example 2 in your summary, explaining the process. Give it your best shot. If you've got any questions, make sure you write a nice hot question for us. We'll get that answered up during class. All right, thanks for taking the time to watch the video. I hope everybody have a great evening, and we look forward to seeing you in class. Goodbye. Goodbye.